Elle Duncan, do I keep the vacation beard?
Where is it? Get closer to the
Hell,
camera. Even closer. More? I need a microscopic lens. Gary, where is this beard?
stop lying, Elle. Run the graphic.
Welcome to the Elle Duncan Show. I'm not kidding. How long did it take you to grow what just honestly looks like a little bit of shmush on your face?
2 months.
Shut the up. It
Hell,
took you
and
that
I
long to
I
grow
love it.
that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I love it. It's a little patchy. I'm a little sour patch kid, but I love it. I feel like it helps define my face, accentuate some of the lines. I love it.
Bruh. I feel like Michael Phelps could shave that off of his armpits. That's how little hair that is. Like that's bad.
Okay, but Michael Phelps shaving this out of his armpit, that is actually a pretty monumental thing in the pool. This amount of hair, look at this. I'm pulling this down for our listening audience. I'm sorry you can't see this, but I'm pulling it down, and that would actually create a lot of drag in the pool. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. Since we're doing Sports Center later this evening, I'll keep this on so you can see it in person, and then I'll shave it tomorrow.
Okay. I can't wait. I'm super excited to get an up close and personal view of what legitimately just looks like Sharpie. Um, Gary Streisky, I feel there's a bit of an Olympic hangover. I mean, we're back in the dead period. Like, thank God this is an
Mhm.
Olympics year. We've talked about on this show that July is like the doldrums of sports. I mean, baseball even goes on a break. There's nothing going on. There's no college football. There's no NBA. There is W typically, but we didn't have it because of the Olympics. Now that the Olympics is over, we've got like a 2 week now dead period before we get ready for the first college football games. And I'm
Yep,
feeling like the Olympic hangover. I mean, it was really giving me every day, apart from
yep,
like life and my responsibilities and like my two kids and my job, it was giving me purpose, Gary,
it
every
was.
day to wake up with an agenda. It was like, all right, 9:30, I'm watching this, 11 a.m., this is on, then 1 o'clock, this is on. And now it just feels like a giant hole is missing in my life. I guess I could fill it with my children, but ugh,
Correct. You're searching for purpose, and I get that. And that's just something that Eva and the X-Men just currently aren't checking off the list because they can't run fast or swim fast
no.
yet.
Yeah.
Fast enough to win medals, and that's okay. W starts later this week. College football, week 0, game 1, 12 days. So we are there, L. But this 12 days is going to feel like 12 freaking weeks, especially coming off of what we just witnessed. Team USA, the red, white, and blue, once again winning the most medals, 120 something compared to everybody else, tied with China, boo, for the most gold medals with 40. So again, red, white, blue equals gold all day, every day. And it's unfortunate that we have to wait 4 more years for these games to bring it back to LA, which I will say, L, I actually kind of like the Olympics being in a completely different hemisphere in a completely different time zone. Because if you are fortunate enough to like schedule your day around watching the events live, that's awesome. But you also, NBC, I think, did a good job with the Gold Zone, our boy Mr. Hansen, and then Primetime with Tarico holding things down if you missed any of the events. So it was really wall to wall, 24-hour coverage.
Yeah, I will say the one downside though is that like that would have been great pre-social media, but in our social media landscape and world, you can't get on social media without finding out the results. So if we had something that happened at 8 o'clock in the morning, I would know about it when I woke up, and it would
Mm-hmm.
sort of be like a foregone conclusion when I'm watching the race. I'm and excited that in LA, it's obviously going to be on Pacific Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time. It'll be a little bit more curated so that it fits our lives and we're actually watching things happen in prime time, in real time. But waiting for sports to start is going to be a little bit like watching both of the men's and women's basketball teams this weekend.
Oh,
It's going to be intense and it is going to be absolutely heart wrenching. I love it here. I love the idea that both of these contests were uncomfortably tight
yes.
for a long time. And ultimately, we ended up getting the result that we had hoped for, which is a gold medal. But the games were intriguing and they were really, really good games. But I think it begs the question as we're doing a post mortem on not just the Olympics, and we'll get to that. We'll hand out some Dunkies, some of our favorites. We'll walk through all of that. But when it just comes to basketball, the question is Based on both of those games between the men and the women, does this portend more heartbreak for one as we look at the landscape of basketball? And that is a fancy way of saying, who's more in trouble? America,
Oh,
you in trouble, girl. Who
yes.
is that best fit for? The men's basketball or the women's basketball?
Okay. First of all, as just a quick side note, I was reading that question in our rundown earlier, and I was like, did somebody misspell pretend? What is protend?
Portend.
I don't even know what that word means. So I'm glad that you
It
broke
means
it
like, does
down
it
for the
predict?
dumbs.
Does it
Okay.
like, does it set the stage for what could be heartbreak?
Ah, L, see,
Does it hint at?
I ask the questions that nobody's brave enough to ask. And I know if I'm wondering what that word means, there are certainly viewers and listeners. So I'm glad that, listen, hey, I'm glad that we cleared that up. But to answer that question, L, I will say, given everything that we saw, I think knee-jerk reaction would be to say, yes, the men's team, the gap is closing. Um, with that said, I think we should be concerned with the women.
Okay.
One
Why?
point, 1 point victory over France, the home nation. They
A
have
toe
literally,
away from an overtime game
correct.
that could have gone anyway.
They have literally never lost a game in Olympic competition when it matters. They have won now six straight, or excuse me, eight straight gold medals. They've never lost a game. So based off of just where they've put their bar, where we expect them to play, a singular loss would make everybody panic. And I have to assume that a singular loss has to be coming down the pipe. And I will add to that, they're not necessarily top heavy, though. You have the Brittany Griners and you have the Diana Taurasi's and even Brianna Stewart in 4 years. You know what I mean? So when we talked about earlier before the Olympic Games started, and we were like, where's the injection of youth? Why was Caitlin Clark, or why didn't we consider Angel Reese? I am concerned not at how the team is presently constructed, but I'm concerned with how it's going to be constructed in 4 years due to that lack of young pipeline that isn't involved in international competition just yet. And that's why I say a singular loss, people will be freaking out. And in 4 years, we are not going to have the Diana Taurasi's, the Brittany Griners, and the Brianna Stewarts to sort of lead this charge on the women's side.
Okay. So let me tell you exactly why all of those reasons are why I'm more concerned about the men.
Okay.
First of all, you brought up Caitlin Clark, and I'm watching that game like most of America, and I'm gripping because I'm going, it's not even just about losing. It was much more about what the conversation was going to turn into, which was, see, you should have had Caitlin Clark on the team. And I was like, I don't want the nation denigrating these women to try and prop up their point of you should have had Caitlin on this team. What I will say is that when it was announced, that roster a few months ago, and I had the fortune of sitting on a desk with Andrea and Carter and Chinea Gumake the day it was released, they both said, for those of you that are going, well, I mean, the US team's going to win by 50 anyway. Who cares if you just have Caitlin on for marketing? You see what they said at the time, which is that the rest of the world is getting better, guys. Like every year, if you look at how big the deficits are and how much
Mhm.
the Americans, the women American team are winning by, it's getting smaller and smaller, right? Like, so the idea that you could just put someone on your team for marketing and not because they'll contribute. Now I see all of the tweets, right? Like, wow, Diana Taurasi, 0 points, didn't even play. I'm sure Caitlin could have done that. But the point was, and what they were trying to make the point months ago was, is that even if you are not contributing in that way, Chelsea Gray, Diana Taurasi, we even saw Brittany Griner not really featured prominently 4 minutes in that finals in the gold medal match. They offer and provide something else, which is experience, leadership, right? They've got the respect of those young women who many of which grew up watching them and idolizing them. Like they offer an additional thing off the bench, even if they're not contributing to the score. But the reason I'm more concerned about the men is that that was a hell of a game. I mean,
Yes.
the men played well, our men and the Frenchmen played well, and they were trading punches. It was
Mhm.
a heavyweight battle. I mean, they were going back and forth. And ultimately, the dudes that strapped America on their back, LeBron James and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, those dudes are going to be gone in the next Olympics. Short of like some incredible thing happening where they're doing maybe like a Udonis Haslam, it stands to reason
Mhm.
that this will be their final Olympics. And those three were huge in deciding the outcome. On the
They
women's
were the big three.
side, yeah, they were huge. On the women's side, it was Asia Wilson, who's going to be returning. Kalia Copper was the unsung hero. She came in with so much energy in that gold medal match and was driving and was cutting and was rebounding. She was doing all the dirty work, all the nasty things, hitting clutch free throws down the stretch. Like Asia Wilson dominated the whole Olympics as we expected that she were. But in that final game without Ka, I'm not sure. They don't get gold without copper. Let's just say that,
Mhm.
right? Like she was
Hey,
fantastic.
that's good.
Right?
That's a bar. L,
That's a
that's a bar.
bar.
That's a
when
bar.
when you talk about those old heads, the OGs, DT, who didn't get a single minute, like I already mentioned, Brittany Griner got 4 minutes. Stewie came up clutch in terms of getting that really big stop down the stretch, but she got what, 4 points on the night? Like, wasn't a big offensive night for her. I'm less concerned about them because the American women really didn't play well. They looked bad. They had 19 turnovers. 15 in the first half. They were missing bunnies. They were missing layups. They were missing things that they always make. They weren't dishing. They didn't play particularly well. Now, all credit to France, who was more physical, I think, than anyone's ever been with the American team and threw them off. But because of that physicality, it impacted France offensively. France also horrible offensively. They didn't shoot particularly well out apart from Gabby Williams. This was their miracle on ice moment, the French.
Correct.
This was their 1980, U.S. men's hockey, a bunch of young nobodies facing the Soviets. The pros had come in winning 4 golds in a row, heavily favored. Do we think that Miracle on Ice happens if it doesn't happen in Lake Placid, if that game is actually in Russia? Like this was France's rise to the occasion. All of the tea leaves were set up for them to be able to pull off this miracle, and they were a toe away. Yeah, the miracle on the Seine. Honestly, the miracle of the Seine would be making that clean. It's disgusting. They were a toe away from forcing overtime.
1.5 billion. Y'all couldn't get the E. coli out of it.
Disgusting.
So
Elle,
I hear.
So that's why, like, I think that this was all set up for France to have their big miracle moment and they fell a toe short. I'm less concerned. You talk about an interjection of youth. I mean, certainly they're going to get that. Like Caitlin Clark will be on the next team and Angel Reese will probably be on the next team and maybe Cameron Brink as well. I'm less concerned. Even a Paige Beckers who's going to be coming out and will have 3 years. Right, to be able to do something. And she's a great two-way player. Like, I'm not worried about the women because they still won, yes, by a point, but having a horrific game that most of them would tell you was one of their worst games, like in some time, they still were able to win. I'm much more concerned with the men who, as we're even seeing this year, the top picks in the draft are not from here. I'm more concerned about them because they played a hell of a game and France did too, and they still almost walked away with that win.
I'm looking at this from the U.S. women's national team side as sort of like envision like stretching out a rubber band. And this is what the U.S. women's national team has done. They've stretched out this rubber band in international competition to such a degree that they are undefeated. And I'm going back to this point with just this analogy that they've been accustomed to winning gold medals so much. This band is completely stretched as far as we've ever seen it be stretched. So the moment they lose a game in group play, when that rubber band snaps, people are going to freak the hell out, which is why I'm thinking it's going to be more of a holy smokes, the sky's falling when they lose their first Olympic game. The men's team,
well, it depends on when they lose their Olympic game, right, Gary? Like if you win and if you lose in sort of the round robin rounds, I think it's one of those things where it's like this is a great wake up call, right? Sure. Certainly if they lose their first game in a medal match, like that is a problem. But if you lose when it's not an elimination game, I think a little love tap to remind you like, hey, the rest of the world is getting better. I don't think that's the worst thing. And I also think it's completely unfair that for the men, it's only gold is the goal because we've seen them lose before. We've seen them lose the gold before. The women, because they've never lost a single game in the Olympics, on top of winning gold, they face double added pressure because it's like, oh, you can't even lose a single game. Well, that's unrealistic. It's unrealistic that they've gone 60 and 0.
But it's not unrealistic because they've made it a reality.
But that's not the goal. The goal is gold. So long as they lose a game that does not impact their ability to win a gold medal, I don't think it's going to be as disastrous as you're painting it out to be. You would expect that at some point they would lose a single game.
Correct. No, and that's why I'm saying the expectation, the bar, I think we're saying the same thing. The bar is so high that we expect a clean slate. Whereas the men 20 years ago, they took bronze and we were like, what?
Yeah. It's a nightmare.
Y'all bronze. What is this? Calling them LeBrons. That's hilarious. So I'm just saying, like, we have a more recent depiction of the men's team not attaining greatness, which is the goal most of our lifetimes just 20 years ago. So that's why I'm saying if it happened, it's not outside the realm of expectation, because this current crop of players have been relegated to bronze medals, is all I'm saying. So expectations, I think, are different. And I don't think that's a bad thing that we expect more out of the women's team. I mean,
they've proven to have been
saying.
able to carry that mantle better. I want to throw out this question to you. Name somebody in the NBA who you'd like to see on the Olympic team, currently not on the Olympic team.
Jason Tatum, because are we sure he was on the team? I'm glad that Steve Kerr got him in the game at his first.
Yeah, it was a pity lay. It was a pity lay. It was a total pity lay. He put him in, it was like the reverse. It was like the reverse situation where you put in the team manager in the last 3 minutes because you're winning a bunch. They're like, let's get him in there. They're like, let's get him in there while the game can't be decided. I mean, here's what I'm going to say about this. Inexplicably, on the surface, yes. It's like, dude, Jason Tatum getting DNPs. Like, what's going on? It's Jason Tatum. It's crazy. The counter to that would be, well, whatever Steve Kerr did worked because they won the gold medal. The second of that would be, well, who is he replacing? And the third question for that would be, right? The third question for me would be, what is happening that we don't know? Because what you could say is, now what I watched in the limited time Jason Tatum did get to play, I watched someone that looked like they were trying too hard. Now, that could be because they were not getting many minutes and they felt like they needed to, do a ton.
Got to maximize it.
But maybe, let's just leave room for the possibility that maybe Steve Kerr saw some of that in practice. That maybe he saw some of that like Jason Tatum was trying too hard to implement his own will. And team basketball, in particular Team USA basketball, is 100% about everybody figuring out what their contributions could be and what their moments could be. And maybe to protect Jason Tatum, Steve Kerr's not going, I'm just not seeing it in practice. He's going, I'm an idiot. Yell at me. It's fine. Like, I'm an idiot. Yes, I'm the absolute worst. Boston hates me. We've got big Boston luminaries saying they won't root for America because Jason Tatum's not playing, which is wild and bananas and batshit crazy to me. But like, maybe Steve Kerr saw something there and was like, you are not exactly the right fit for this particular team. We can call it matchups or whatever it was. I'm just saying, Steve Kerr is one of the best coaches of all time. Do we believe that he just honestly has something against Jason Tatum? Does that seem more plausible than he just didn't see Jason Tatum having a big role in helping this particular team win? Can we not give this man a benefit of the doubt, the multi-champion coach? Like, we don't give him a more benefit of the doubt than to say, on the surface, that seems wild, but also maybe there was a reason, you guys, that Steve Kerr's not going to reveal, because then it throws Jason Tatum under the bus.
Well, I think that it can be both. Look at his starting five, all Western Conference players. Obviously, he knows Steph is his guy. LeBron, it's AD, it's Devin Book, it's Kevin Durant. It's all dudes he's played against, matched up against, and schemed against. Even his rotational guys. Who are the two guys that he kept out of the rotation the most? Two dudes from the Eastern Conference. And I think part of that, Elle, is him being the head coach. It's his job to make sure your all-star dude, your all-NBA guy is incorporated in practice to a degree that he feels confident to translate that into a game. You're not putting a square peg into a round hole with Jason Tatum. I mean, this dude has been an NBA all-star. He's played with other guys and other starting fives. I think, listen, I'm not completely saying absolving Jason Tatum as he should have been playing 20 minutes a game, but some of that is on the head coach who's responsible for putting together rotations that make sense. And that's why you have all of those guys on the team together.
So he didn't put together a rotation that made sense. They won gold. Like, that's my point, you guys. We are bitching about his use of the roster in wins. Like, they won the games, and they're acting like, oh, if you put Jason Tatum in, we beat Serbia by 50. Tatum didn't hit a three-pointer all Olympics, and he had the team's worst field goal percentage. So, like, again, my question is,
down by 16 in the gold medal game.
Whose work are you replacing? Who are you replacing?
I'm not saying you're replacing.
Who are you putting Jason Tatum in for? I mean, there's a minute pie, and there's only so many minutes you can get. So who are you taking minutes away from?
I'm not saying that you're replacing anybody. What I'm saying is you can supplement your team, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And
I'm
with
not
who?
saying, I'm not saying take,
Who should have been taken out so Jason Tatum could get more
I'm not
minutes?
taking the bait of saying take Kevin Durant out in place of Jason
No, I think
Tatum.
people are even saying
I'm
things
not.
like Devin Booker, but we heard Steve Kerr
No,
say
Devin
very
Booker
clearly,
was the
Devin Booker,
MVP of
yes,
this game.
Devin Booker was the unsung hero. He did
Correct.
everything that they needed. He drove the pace, and it was interesting too because I saw the resurfaced Kyle Kuzma tweets from last year where he was like,
Yes.
"We need someone on Team America that's just going to play their role," and not and Devin Booker responded to him and said, "I'll do it," and he did. He did all that. He was the Kalia Copper on the men's side, where it's not going to show up. He didn't win MVP. It's not necessarily going to show up all over the stat sheets. You're not seeing it in the images because we've got these great images of KD and Steph and LeBron. But Devin Booker was really big. So again, I repeat, who is losing minutes so that Jason Tatum can play? And when we saw
That's
him
not on
even in
me.
that game the other day, it just looked disjointed. It didn't look that great. He gave him a couple of opportunities and he came out. Tyrese Halliburton, yes, is not Jason Tatum. He's not. But Tyrese Halliburton joked about it, right? And was like,
Yeah.
he posted the picture of like of him with his gold medal and was like, when you get an A on the group project that you didn't participate in. Like, he didn't have to do anything. It just is the way that USA basketball works.
Sure.
Again, like there was some really Brittany Griner is about as dominant as there is. I'm texting my girls yesterday, like, why isn't BG playing at all? And they were like, this game is moving. It's too fast. And that's probably why they decided not to go with BG there, just because she can't run up and down the court as quick because she's the biggest one on the court, right? So it's all really specific to the matchup. And I think that like the idea that we would rather play in the narrative of Steve Kerr hates Jason Tatum or is pro West Coast, Western Conference, as opposed to maybe he just knew what we didn't see at practice, or maybe he just knew what the stats say, which is he wasn't playing at his absolute best. I mean, God, he could be like Jaylen Brown and left off the team altogether, which I thought was a bit egregious. But like, we love to stand in criticism of someone, but offer absolutely no, we offer no, what's the word that I'm looking for here?
Like compromise or
Correct.
something else. Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
what's the
I'm not,
solution here? We don't offer solutions. We only stand in criticism.
yeah, that's what we get paid for, Elle. Real quick, also, too, can we just speculate on, I'm not completely ruling out LeBron, KD, Steph in the LA games. Steph kind of alluded like, hey, this is the one thing I wanted to do left in my career was win a gold medal, and I got it, so I'm good. He's 36. He'll be 40 when the games are in LA. LeBron's 39. He'll be 43. KD is 35. He'll be 39.
I wouldn't rule out KD necessarily, but
Okay.
I think we're winding down on LeBron's career. I don't see
Correct.
LeBron playing another 4 years in the NBA. And so I just think that this was probably his final one. Steph certainly played like it was. I mean, Steph, he just was. There was at one point in that gold medal match where I was like, all right, Steph, I'm going to need you to heat up a little bit because you're doing these heat check logo
Oh, bro,
shots.
he
They are
did
not
too.
falling right now, bruh. And I really need you. And he did, and he was like, don't worry about my, like, he stepped up and was huge for them. He was playing like a guy that knew it was the one thing left on his resume and that this
Yes,
was probably his last opportunity to get it.
it was sick. Love it. To answer your original question, I would love to see Cooper Flag because in Vegas,
Sure.
when he was playing against the men's national team, everybody to a man was like, this dude is cooking our best players, and he's going to be an incoming freshman at Duke. I saw that we saw him in Miami at F1. He's already built like a 20 something at
Yeah,
just
he is.
17, 18 years old. So give me Cooper Flag on that men's national team. Give me somebody because he's going to be a Duke at that point, a former Duke player in 4 years. Everybody, he's going to be the reincarnated Christian Laettner. Let's hate him, but he's on the men's national team. So actually, we love him, but he's the heel. So give me Cooper Flag.
We can have so much fun too with like punning his name. I mean, it's
Yes,
flag, it's the Olympics, it's gonna be
yes.
great. Speaking of which, at the end of the show, apparently our producers are gonna put us up on a pedestal, show how stupid we are, and honestly make us probably look a little xenophobic by testing our flag knowledge as we officially say goodbye to the Olympics. But just to put a bow on the basketball part of this, before we take a quick commercial break, I just want to give a big shout out to Brittany Griner because you saw the emotions when she was standing there getting her medal. And for those of you that didn't like really think about the correlation of course, the last time she traveled overseas was when she was in Russia in prison for 10 months. She has not been overseas since. And until she went to England about a month or so ago in exhibition plan, then of course spent the last 3 weeks in France. But she was just talking about the emotions of what it meant to her to be on this stage, to represent America after everything that she'd been through. And she even talked about the fact that like she got emotional when they were on the train because the last time that she was on a train, it was to take her to prison. It was a prison train. And so
Yeah.
I just want to give her a huge shout out. I mean, to have the weight of that while you're trying to play a great Olympic showing from her, but just really special. Her wife was there. She has a brand new son. Just want to give a big shout out to BG and say, thank you for everything that you've done. And, we're with you and we support you. And we're just so proud that you're American too.
Thanks for bringing that gold home, baby, baby.
Baby. All right. So in case you missed it because you were too busy reveling in all the golds we brought home, let's go. When we come back, we'll do an in case you missed it, including the
Uh-oh.
talk of the Olympics. So bad, some people say, that it has actually ended an event before it really actually got started. That is next. We back on the Elle Duncan Show with Gary Streisky. I am so 38 hot right now about this Jordan Chiles losing her bronze medal for now. We are,
What
of
does
course,
38
taping
hot
this.
mean?
38 hot, like it's like a 38 caliber revolver.
Oh,
Like
got it.
after you
Yep. Got it.
shoot it,
Got it.
and
Smoking
then the
gun.
smoke
Got it.
comes out. I'm hot. I'm hot.
Yep. Yep.
As we take you to the in case you missed it portion of the Olympics, this was news on Sunday. We are taping this on Monday at about 11 a.m. Eastern time. Things could change because there's an appeal upon appeal upon appeal. You'll remember that in women's gymnastics during the floor event for the finals, Jordan Chiles at first looked like she fell just off the medal stand. They did an inquiry, which is basically a protest, and it comes back and they're like, we shorted you some points, Jordan Chiles. Congratulations, you're a bronze medalist. She celebrates. The girl from Romania was heartbroken because she was already running around with her flag. And they're like, never mind, sweetie, you didn't win third. You're
Yeah.
actually
Have a
off the
seat.
podium stand. Upon further review. Well, if you thought that the Romanians were going to let that thing go, you were wrong. They petitioned the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee, by saying that America did not get in their inquiry in time. You allegedly have 1 minute to raise your protest and get your inquiry in. They say that the Americans got it in 1 minute and 7 seconds. And as such, the IOC reverses the reversal and says, you're right. They were wrong. Romanian girl slides back in. Now, the Romanians claim that they wanted all 3 Olympics because if you were to let Jordan Chiles stay there and the other Romanian girl, there's another girl that got the same score too. So basically 3 people would have to share the bronze medal. The IOC was like, no, we don't want that. We're going to give it back to Romania, and Jordan Chiles, you are going to give your bronze medal back, despite the fact that nobody's really ever had to give a medal back unless they cheated or were found guilty of drug abuse, right? Like those are typically the only 2 reasons that you give a medal back. And so they're like, give your medal back. And Jordan Chiles is devastated. She's gotten off social media, but then here comes America.
One thing we know how to do is jam stuff up in litigation.
Hello, like, hold up, IOC. Wrong. We've got proof. We've got evidence that we not only got it in time, we got it in twice and in plenty of time. First at 47 seconds and then again at 55 seconds. They have submitted that. Now we await on the IOC to say yes or no or whatnot. The whole thing to me that is wacky about this thing is that this is all reportedly and allegedly the IOC only talked with Romania, made this decision in a vacuum, never gave America a chance to counter with evidence that they did in fact get this inquiry in time. And as such, this poor girl has been stripped of her medal, and potentially it was the wrong thing to do. Now we'll see how this all plays out, but it absolutely hurts. And I love so much that Flavor Flav, who's just become like everybody's grandpa, like everyone's uncle at the Olympics, has decided like, I'm going to make you a bronze clock medal, Jordan Chiles. Don't you worry about losing your bronze. I got a clock for you. No offense, but that ain't the same. And this whole thing sucks, Gary.
Yeah, let me ask you this question, Elle. If you were at a restaurant and you ordered something and it came back not what you wanted, and then you sent it back to the kitchen, and then they brought it back, and you're like, y'all still undercooked, and then had to send it back to the kitchen, and they brought it back, and it was still not right. Would you want it anymore? Would you want that meal anymore? That's what I'm feeling like this bronze medal is. This is now the 5th appeal one way or another. First Romania wins, then USA appeals. Now Romania is appealing. Now USA is appealing. This is all on the restaurant, which is the IOC. They have the ability, as we saw in the 100-meter final, to calculate finishes and to time things to the thousandth of a second. So how do we not have the evidence prior to the now fourth or fifth appellate from one of the two sides? This is so messy and it's so muddy. And there's no such thing as a participation medal or like a split decision or here, each of y'all take a bronze. But like at this point, wouldn't you feel icky on both ends, whether you're the Romanian gymnast or Jordan Chiles? Like there's always going to be that cloud of drama surrounding the outcome of this medal now, and it's all because of the IOC, no?
So what, Gary? Here's what you're forgetting about this: sending the food back at the restaurant. At some point, do you just give up? Well, it depends on what it took for you to get to that restaurant. Did you have to walk on needles? Did you have to crawl through glass? Do you know how hard it is to get to that level? What she's been through emotionally, physically, all of those things. Yes, I want that fucking meal. And yes, I want that medal. I don't give a damn how many times it exchanges hands. I want it because I earned it. And if you try to take it away from me on a technicality, because the whole point here is that the IOC fucked up by not giving her the appropriate level of points to start. They did not give her credit for things that she did. And then they looked back on it upon further review and they were like, oh, oops, never mind. So the technicality of losing out on that simply because supposedly America got in the request 4 seconds late, that's insane because it all started with them doing wrong by Jordan Chiles. So I don't give a damn if this thing takes 35 more laps and touches 35 more hands. I want that bronze medal because I worked for it and I earned it. And I showed up at the biggest possible stage and I earned that medal. So hell yeah, I want that medal.
All right. Well, just know that medal, aka that meal, gonna come back with some spit in it. Elle.
You're going to drop some Visine in it. You're going to have bubble guts forever.
Damn.
You know, honestly, that could probably be, you could probably say bubble guts is the way that you would describe what we watched in the breakdancing competition, which was a new competition to the Olympics this year. I got to be honest with you. This feels like one of those things that no one asked for. Now, maybe I'm a bias because I am a softball player. I remember going and watching the softball games at the Olympics when they were in Atlanta in 96 because they were down in Columbus. I loved softball in the Olympics. I think that baseball and softball are missing from the Olympics. I don't think anyone asked for breakdancing. I mean, not in our year, our Lord's year of 2024. Breakdancing blew up in popularity in the 80s in New York. Like, why are we just now adding a breakdancing competition? They claim it's because they want to pull in the younger group, and that's fine. But then when you do that, when you do, you need to actually spend some time combing the world, finding the best breakdancers, because what we saw on that stage was not great. The gold medal performance of breakdancing to me was not that great. I've seen better on YouTube. I've seen better on So You Think You Can Dance and The Summers on Fox. But the talk of breakdancing is not about who won. It's about who didn't score a single freaking point. Okay. And that is Australian breakdancer Rachael Gunn, AKA Raygun, who is apparently got a degree in breakdancing. I'm so confused by this story.
This is why higher education is doomed. What the hell? People are spending money on this.
She has a thesis called Deterritorializing Gender in Sydney's Breakdancing Scene, a B-Girl's Experience of B-Boying.
Yeah, Elle, I saw that and I thought my eyes were deceiving me, Elle. First of all, it took me 5 minutes to pronounce deterritorializing. I was like, this word is make believe. Deterritorializing gender in Sydney's breakdancing scene. What the hell? First of all, IOC, if you want to bring in a younger crowd, introduce gaming into the next Olympics. I fully believe gaming is a competition, okay? Some would argue it's a sport, but it is a competition. And if you want to bring in young cats, that's how you do it. Secondarily, we talk a lot about, man, you had to be born at the same time of LeBron James or Michael Jordan. That sucks. This stinks for one group in particular that everybody that's a millennial knows. If breakdancing was a sport when the Jabberwockies was at their peak, Elle, we'd be bringing this home, no problem.
Yeah.
Remember Jabberwockies?
Oh, yeah, they were fun. Yeah.
Dude, they're the best. So I'm watching this and I'm like, there is no way this woman like feels good about any of this. But then the Prime Minister of Australia was like, hey, she was just having a go. And that's what Australia is
Yeah.
about, is just out there having a go.
Yeah.
0 points.
She literally like applauded her for participating. She's like, well, in Australia, we just like to say, give it a go. And if you're good, that's great. And if you're not, at least you gave it a go.
I'm glad that you
Which,
did the accent. You're
which,
so good at it.
honestly, just giving it a go in breakdancing honestly just feels like you're trying to cosplay, like you're doing like racial stereotypes. Like if you're
Yeah.
not an actual b-boy, when you do the like, yeah, boy, like when you start doing all that, it looks like you're making fun of black people. And that's what
This is truly gentrification.
it
This is
really
like,
is, bro. You know what it was? It reminded me of the meme of like Steve Buscemi, where he's like, "Hello, fellow young people. What are we doing
yes,
today?" We're trying to
yes.
cosplay as a narc. She looked like a narc. She looked like she was trying to bust someone in some illicit breakdancing ring. I'm like, I rather would have watched You Got Served with the bad acting and the good breakdancing than watching this with the good acting and the bad breakdancing.
Matter of fact, and somebody let me know, Elle, you were locked into this. Did we have a camera on Flava Flav when this Raygun was breakdancing? Because he would have freaked out. He would have gone on stage and demanded this thing be put to a halt.
It was I have not seen if there's any Flavor Flav reaction. I know Snoop
Okay.
Dogg opened up the breakdancing event, which was like the last 2 days of the Olympics, and
Okay.
probably was the right thing. They portended it would be bad.
Sure.
But I want to give you a b-boy name. Can I give you a b-boy name?
Yes, please.
Okay, we already know that you love kimchi. It is your Instagram name, Kimchi Poppy. So I thought taking a little bit of creative license with breakdancing, you could be Spinchy Poppy.
That's pretty good.
I kind of like it,
Hell, that's pretty good.
right?
I would, in my routine, I would stay completely vertical because if I went down, there's no way my 37-year-old bones is getting back up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's all shoulder work. It's a lot of like,
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of
yeah.
like, that's all the Australian lady was doing,
First of
shoulder work.
all, that was actually really good. You're like very fluid for just being like sat down. That's better than what Raygun was doing.
Like
She
chair
is,
dancing. Make it an Olympic sport.
and she's a freaking college professor.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Anyway,
she was the narc that showed up and did that. And I have a breakdancing name for me too. Playing off of Duncan and playing off the fact that no one knows my name correctly.
yes.
Ellie roll.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
She got the
Like
Ellie.
got
She
that
got the
Ellie
jelly.
roll.
Yeah, that's solid.
Breakdancing not relatable to me at all. Definitely relatable to me. The Team USA picture after the women's soccer team won gold.
Yes.
Their medal picture afterwards, they look so hungover.
They
I
had a
mean,
great night the night before.
they really did. And the videos came out. They were dancing. They were having a blast. I mean, what an incredible journey for this women's national team. There are no expectations on the men's national team, not a single expectation. But this, of course, was a great legacy team, especially at the international level, who had slipped in the past. And with their new coach, Emma Hayes, wins like 10 matches into her tenure, a gold medal. And they were fantastic. And a big shout out, by the way, to Mallory Swanson, who ended up getting
Won
the
us the
final goal, the
game.
only goal, won the goal. But she's had such an amazing Olympics run, her and the Trident, the triple espresso, whatever you want to call them, of her and Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman. But Mallory tore her patella tendon last April, had 3 surgeries, a bad infection, kept missing out at the international level. And for her to come back in the way that she did and have such an incredible Olympics run, well done. But baby, when I tell you they was partying, it's so
Bravo to
relatable.
them.
I mean, neither one of them look like they want to do life that day.
But listen, Elle, you are a person who I know famously rises to the occasion. So give us a war story. Give us a battle story where you've had to resurrect yourself from the ashes after a celebratory night out and do something important.
Oh, I can give you numerous ones, and they all wrap around parenting. Like I don't have a
Oh,
specific like parenting while hungover is a nightmare because like an event,
oof.
certainly I've had to do events where you're like, oh man, like the pre-event the night before went a little long and you've had to rally and figure it out. There's been some NABJs where I had to host a breakfast like real early in the morning
Oof.
after
I'm
having
out
to.
immediately.
Oh man, I had to do something with Nate Burleson last year in Birmingham on Saturday at 8 a.m. when I was at the party on Friday night until 4 a.m. And let me tell you, it was an
20 somethings can
interesting.
bounce back, no problem. But once you get north of 30, not a shot. I
I do.
dipped out on both nights of AAJA activities after dinner. I was in bed both nights, 9 o'clock, and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Like that's how you should do it, as a grown up, as a grown person who's a professional. But having to parent when you're hungover, when your kids like, I mean, it's 6:45 and they're like, let's play, let's do Legos, let's have breakfast. I want stuff. It just never stops. It is truly one of the most harrowing things that you can do is parent while hungover.
I was a banker in my undergrad days, just a real quick story. And I was so probably like 21, and the boys went out the night before. And I don't partake in the devil's lettuce, but my friends did at the time, and they were hotboxing at the time a Scion, the boxed Scion.
Oh,
So we were
wow.
hotboxing in the boxed Scion.
So you got a contact high.
I got the most contactiest of highs ever in my life. And this was a Friday night because I had to work the next morning at Belco Credit Union. So I had a couple of drinks. The contact high stayed with me. I thought I'd be able to sleep it off. My dad's a state trooper. So I was like, I'm going to go to jail if I can't shake this off. I didn't. I went to work the next day. We opened up 8 a.m. and I remember distinctly, I was doing a loan closing. I was official. I had a corner desk and everything. And the person who was signing the documents, it was this woman signing the documents for this loan. She was just doing her thing. And inexplicably, I reach over, grab her forearm, and we were just sitting in silence for 30 seconds. I don't know what overcame me, but I just grabbed her forearm and she didn't say anything. I didn't say anything for 30 seconds. And then she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm sorry." And then we just went about our day. I was on the moon. I was, I thought I was going to get fired that day.
I
But
believe it too, because you can't handle even Malibu and pineapple. So there's zero
I'm a
chance that
lightweight.
you can handle the ganja. That lady
No.
probably left there and she was like, I just had the most serendipitous moment with this hot banker. He grabbed my hand and stared into my eyes and
It
like
was
was
weird.
giving me a moment.
It was weird. Like 10 years later, I'm getting canceled. Fortunately, this was like 2007, 2008. It was bad.
Oh man. All right. Still ahead. As we take one last final quickie little commercial break. We're gonna do the Dunkies, which is just our way
Yes.
of A, stealing off The Office because we both love that show, but also putting a bow officially on the Olympics because after this, we are firmly in football season, baby. So after this, we're gonna run down just our
Come on.
favorite stories from the Olympics when the Elle Duncan Show returns. All right, we back with our closing ceremonies of the Elle Duncan Show. As we say goodbye to the Olympics, we're handing out some Dunkies, okay? These are our gold medal choices or statuettes for some of the top performances. I'll start with the award for American Hustler, and that goes to
Yes.
Cole Hawker. That dude looks like he makes his own almond milk. I mean,
He
this guy
probably
definitely looks
does.
like a guy who lives on the land. Like he could be a barefoot runner and I would believe you. But he came out of nowhere in the final 100 meters to pass two of the favorites for gold in the 1500 meter. And it was just the most, he's like, he looked so unathletic and he just came out and sprinted to the front and was amazing.
We didn't, for many reasons, didn't think he was going to pass that certain crop of runners. But alas, he did, thanks
Yeah.
to his homegrown, homemade, home pressed almond milk.
Yeah. That he drank before
He's a
he showed
crunchy
up.
man.
Undoubtedly in his fiat. How about the award for biggest trash talker? And of course, that goes to Noah Lyles, who crossed the line 5 thousandths of a second ahead of Jamaica's Kashane Thompson, stands atop the podium as the world's fastest man in the 100 meter. Then said he would not be beat in the 200 meter. That is, of course, before getting beat, and then only to reveal that he had COVID and in a bout of competitive gamesmanship, kept it from everybody.
Straight
But
up.
all the trash talking is catching up to him now. Now it's like, oh, do you remember that time when he said he didn't show up to whoever it was party because he hadn't won a championship and he wasn't going to go support a loser? Anthony Edwards.
Adidas invited him to Anthony Edwards' party. He was like, "Bro, no, what? He's been to 0 NBA finals. Why am I pulling up to this?"
Just
No, but listen, he's on top of the world right now. This man finished second when he had COVID. Like, nah,
third.
nobody correct. Nobody can come for Noah Lyles until later stated. Because right now he's backing it all up. He's talking that ish, deservedly so.
All right. How about America's sweetheart? That, of course, is
Yes.
Steven Nedorosky. Netaronzik. I'm
Netaronzik.
originally going to learn his name, who, of course, was the hero that came in on the pommel horse and helped the men in the gymnastics event get their first medal in as many years, bronze medal for the gymnast who are nothing like the women gymnasts. They are never favored to win anything. So this was a huge deal for them. And he became, the source of tons of memery. So shout out to him. I have to say American Gangster is Katie Ledecky, who
Yes.
becomes the most decorated American woman in history. Congratulations, Katie Ledecky. If this is your last Olympics, man, you've served this country well, and we will miss seeing you in the pool. And
Did
lastly,
she say
before
she's, I think
she hasn't said.
she hasn't
She,
said that she's coming to LA?
she has not
Oh,
said.
okay, got it.
She's hinted and flirted, and that would be great, but
For
she has
some
not
reason,
said.
okay, got it.
And lastly, before I turn it over to you for your specific award, I want to give an award for the most relatable of the unrelatables.
Yes.
Because these Olympic athletes are completely unrelatable to most of us laymen. Like, they make things look impossibly easy that are just flat out impossible. And that includes
Correct.
track, where all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, he's really turning it on now. I'm like, how can you tell? They don't change their face or their cadence or they just look like Terminator. That was until I watched the 400-meter final and I saw the American Quincy Hall. Okay. We found out later on he hurt himself, and maybe that's why some of the looks of pain were on his face.
Mm-hmm.
But when he turned that corner and was vying for gold and was in like third place, it was like he was like pulling at the wind. Like it's on his face. He's gassed. He's like, it looked so incredibly painful to try to finish that last 100 meters. And it was so relatable to me because he looked like how I looked walking up the stairs going to DC2 at work. Like, that's the kind of intensity it takes for me to walk across campus. And you could just see it all over his face, how bad he wanted it, how hard he was sucking wind, how hard it was to accomplish that feat. But ultimately it worked and he won gold. And him just laboring towards the end of that race is like my favorite image from the Olympics.
But what we do better than anybody, including Olympians and Quincy Hall, we evidenced this a couple of months ago when we had our own Olympic games, our own regular person games, is even though we might be feeling the pain inside, we don't outwardly show how exhausted we truly are. And for that, Elle Duncan, you deserve all of the medals for sure. We'll never be as conditioned. Okay, Elle, those are the best of your Olympics version. And obviously this 2.5 weeks has birthed so many unforgettable memes. I have collected 3 of some of the best, some of my favorites, and we're going to, in true Olympic fashion, podium these 3, going bronze to gold. And for that, producer Sarah is going to share her screen right now with the bronze medal. This is so funny because it's so stupid. And you know, I love stupid comedy. When somebody asks, when's Christmas? Read her name.
December.
Cindy December. Hey, yo, when's Christmas? Cindy December. This is a British runner, British track athlete, Cindy December. And when I saw this is so funny. Elle, you know I love stupid humor, and that's
actually really good. That sounds like my son is born in that same month, and he's 3. And when you ask him, when's your birthday? Cindy December.
Cindy December. That's beautiful. And I'm glad I'm getting an organic laugh from Elle, who has not seen this before, which is actually kind of shocking in its own right. Okay, that's the bronze medal. Our silver medal recipient, it was the pole vault seen around the world.
I thought you were going to say penis gate.
This similar. Mondo Duplantis breaking the pole vault record, and then it was quote tweeted by this guy named Meech. But at what cost? Now everybody thinks you have a baby carrot. Yo, this is jokes.
That. If you're good at pole vaulting, then you are losing at life. If you're losing at pole vaulting, it's because you've got your own pole to stand on.
But also, Mondo Duplantis, after winning this, went straight to his like model girlfriend. So
and started making out with her. Yeah.
Either way, Mondo Duplantis' pole game doing just fine.
They did that thing that's uncomfortable at like weddings where the people kiss but they kiss a little too much, where you're like, yo, bro, your grandma's here. Like they were getting after it. Like there was
they were tonguing?
I'm pretty sure there was some tongue in there. I was like, whoa, I'm not sure that you practice your kisses at big events like this, but probably you should, because it just feels like, yeah, tongues a lot.
A little tonsil hockey, huh? All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, he gets gold medal for PDA, but the gold medal for the best meme that I saw, Elle,
Okay.
this is recent. We just talked about this. When you've lied on your resume and get the job. This is our girl Raygun.
The picture is so
Unbelievable.
bad. She's
She's doing
like,
the praying mantis. She is culturally appropriating. This would get a normal civilian canceled, but on the Olympic stage, it'll get you worldwide fame and notoriety, or infamous notoriety.
yeah, boy. Oh, these are so good. In fact, this takes us to the last part of the show because 100% I'd be able to identify an Australian flag, but methinks that they're going to make it more difficult for us. This is how we end the show, Gary, and officially our Olympics coverage. What did we learn? Did we learn anything about the flags of these countries that we've been watching for 3 straight weeks? And I got to tell you, as someone that watches these videos with her 6-year-old and gets smoked by her 6-year-old, I
Oof.
am not excited about how bad I'm about to reveal my lack of knowledge when it comes to flags. So let's do it. Tee them up. What's our first flag?
Over 206 delegations represented. Oh, this is the home nation.
Oh, this is France.
This is France. What
This
we're
is a
looking at here
this
is
is blue, red, and white stripes. This is easy to identify. This is
yep.
France. They did say that they get harder. Okay. Oh God. All right, let's describe it first. Oh, okay. There you go. So
There it
this is this flag. I know this flag because I went there last year, fell in love with the people. This is a flag that looks like a little British flag in the
Yep.
corner, but then it has some
Yep.
stars too, which means it's Australia.
It's the Union Jack left corner, and then you got a bunch of them old school Batman and Robin stars, like the
Mhm.
wham, kazow
Yeah, like the throwing
stars.
stars.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up here. Our
Oh,
friend,
yes.
our Italian friends.
Yes. This is the same thing as the French flag, except that you replace the blue with the green. That
That's
is
correct.
Italy.
And this is a flag that is prominently flown where we live in Connecticut, depending on where you're at.
A
So
lot of Italians in
really, it's
Connecticut.
interchangeable. All
It's
right.
true.
We're being told that these are supposed to get more difficult.
Ooh. Oh, you know what?
This is an
Okay.
African nation.
I'm gonna throw this out there only because my uncle used to be a foreign diplomat and he sent me a little thing that is similar to this. I'm going to say that this flag is horizontal stripes of black, red, and green. And then it has like a little fixture, like shield looking thing in
It's
the
got
middle.
like a shield with
I'm going
two
to go
crisscrossed arrows, or
spears.
rather
Yeah. Yeah.
spears.
Yeah. Since it can't be Wakanda, I'm going to say that this is an African nation.
It is.
And I'm gonna throw out the most random one on earth just because again, my uncle used to live here specifically, Swaziland.
Well, hold on. Time out. You just made up a country.
No, Swaziland.
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 Swaziland. I'm being told it is Kenya. Oops.
Oh my.
I should have known that one of the tiniest nations in all of Africa probably didn't send anyone to the Olympics, but it is Kenya. I was
You
right
just
on the
making up
Africa.
words.
It's right on the Africa.
I was going to go with Rwanda.
Ah, okay. And our final flag. Ooh,
Oh,
this
I know
one.
this one. I know this one.
Well, let me describe it
This-
first for the people. It has like a sunburst. It's all blue. It has a sunburst on the left, and then it has some like prism looking stripes
like
of tan.
From
like
the
a
left
streak.
bottom corner to the right top corner, it's a bicolored stripe. Top color is like a nice caramel. Bottom color is a nice white. It's a royal blue. This feels to me, Elle, like one of those like an island of some sort, like a Polynesian-esque island of some sort.
Oh, I was gonna go with like a Morocco or a or maybe a
Let's narrow this
Qatar.
down. This country is completely surrounded by water. I'm confident in that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Guam. That's a U.S. territory. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. That's a U.S. territory. Can
He's
we
like,
get
I think it's Puerto Rico.
You're stupid. Like, is that the Colorado flag? Can we get the first letter? Can we get the first letter?
Can we get a letter, you guys? M.
M.
Was I right with Morocco? No.
Madagascar?
Morocco has like a moon, I think.
Madagascar. No, that's not Madagascar. Maldives.
Mauritius!
The Maldives.
Mauritius.
What the hell is Mauritius? Marshall Islands.
Oh, don't
Boom.
say Marshall Islands like you've ever heard of the Marshall Islands, but you've never
No,
heard of
no, no.
Mauritius.
Elle, I'm just saying we should get half a point because I said this is for sure something that's surrounded by water. And the Marshall Islands, deductive reasoning here, that's an island and that is surrounded by water. Me and Elle, half a point, 3.5 points out of 5. We passed geography.
Where in the world is the Marshall Islands? Oh, between Hawaii and the Philippines. There it is. Okay.
Boom.
It looks very tiny. They sent someone to the Olympics. You guys are lying. They didn't send anyone to the Olympics. No, zero
Elle,
chance. Lies.
Elle, a
You guys
swimmer.
just chose flags. You're supposed to choose flags from the Olympics. You just chose a flag of somewhere random in the ocean. No, wrong. I
Hey,
have an inquiry. I'm protesting. I want my fucking bronze medal.
Elle, I want you to know that this country, much like Eminem, okay, Marshall matters.
Jesus Christ. And with that, I can't with you. I'm so done with you.
Well, too bad because we got Sports Center in about 5 hours.
We really do. SportsCenter on the way. We'll see you on Monday and Tuesday on 6 p.m. on SportsCenter. We'll have our show on Thursday. We'll debrief what was an amazing week of Gary and Co going on First Take and me just going on by myself. We'll get into all of that on Thursday. Gary's got a bit of a bone to pick with me, and
The
that's
real
fine because I like
hierarchy has
picking
been
bones too.
established.
We'll get on into all of that as we say thank you. Remember to tell somebody about the show. We love putting it together. Shout out to our producers, Sarah and David and Jackson and Christina. Rate us, review us, do all that, subscribe, and we will see you on Thursday. The Marshall Islands. Like, what?